Live from the Acres Broadcast Center inside East Stadium, this is the Husker Athletic Director Show with Trev Alberts. Sports Nightly is presented by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who reminds you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Here's the pitch. Mays swings and lifts a towering fly ball to right. Anglin back to the track, to the wall. He jumps, and he made the catch. He just took back a homer. Garrett Anglin just saved 3 runs for the Big Red.
The 1-2, Kenny lines it down the left field line, down for a hit. Brooke Andrews around third. She will come in to score. No throw home comes in. It's an RBI single to left for Kaylin Kenny.
The 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball hit well in the left field. Mays back to the track. He's to the wall. He jumps in and it's gone! Griffin Everett, a 3-run homer. And Nebraska's back on top 6-3.
3-1 Huskers. First pitch. Livingston grounds to third. Gray to her left has it. Throws to first. In time! And Nebraska has won the 2022 Big Ten Tournament title! For the first time in school history, they've won the Big Ten Tournament Championship.
Here is your host, Greg Sharp, on the Huskers Radio Network.
And welcome to another week of Sports Nightly here on the Huskers Radio Network, and it's our last Athletic Directors Show for the school year of 2021-22. We're going to give Mr. Alberts the months of June and July off to recuperate and get ready for another. How about that? Kids are gone. Campus is kind of quiet. It's different, isn't it?
It is a little different. It's quiet, and parking's a little bit easier, and getting to the office is easier, but no, you miss the energy of the students, and that's why we're all here. So we love the student athletes, love the energy, and we still have some student athletes around here and general students on campus. And by the way, summer school will be starting here shortly, so no rest for the weary. We're going to continue helping and supporting these young folks, but most of us try to take a little bit of time off in the summer. It's a good time to get ready for our fall.
Well, congratulations, and I know the chancellor was happy with you because you got the turf down for graduation a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did, and I certainly don't deserve any credit. Our facilities team, I'll tell you what, we have, I think, like game operations and facility event management. I don't know of anybody who does it better than Nebraska Athletics, and just really proud of that team. It doesn't matter what the effort is, they will find a way to get it done, and if that's working all night long, they'll do it. And I'll tell you, I thought the graduation was spectacular. It was a little bit warm, and I know some of the families, Chancellor was telling me this morning or today in our meeting how some of the feedback he got was, can we flip it around the other side just so we don't get the sun directly? So legit, but again, a lot to learn there, but just proud of the whole execution of it. I mean, you think about the undertaking of having all of those families and all those students, new turf, and getting it done on time was really cool.
When people think of this campus, this stadium is probably the number one thing they think of. So for them to be able to, for this place to host graduation, I think it's a perfect fit.
Well, it is a perfect fit, and it's part of their experience. And so many of those students probably celebrated as a student at the game, and hopefully they had some highs and probably a few lows of those games as well. But there's a lot of risk to it. Obviously, there's a lot of expense in putting on a graduation outside, and you're really hoping that the weather if it's freezing cold and raining or snowing, it's hard to execute. But I know Chancellor Green was really, really pleased with graduation, and he sent out a very kind email to the whole athletic department and for those within the Husker athletics who worked hard on that. It was very meaningful to me and our staff.
Are you pleased with the way the turf looks?
I am, yeah. What's interesting is when you look at that turf, you sort of over time, over the years, the sun obviously fades things, and you don't notice it as much until you bring the new turf. My goodness, the red pops, and the white Tom Osborne field and the numbers. Going to be a little bit different. Not all of our fans have seen it, obviously, but one dark color green, so that'll be a little bit of a change. But I like how the brand pops, and I think this is going to be the turf that brings us some memorable moments over the next several years. At least that's our goal.
And even the folks who came for graduation didn't see it because it was covered
That's
up.
right.
They put the boards down to protect it as well. But good. I'm glad you were able to.
Yeah.
Did you like it? And it was able to get finished and complete. The football team, actually, a lot of them are back today, starting some summer conditioning workouts today. The spring has also got you a league championship. Husker softball wins the tournament title. What a fun moment.
Well, it really was. You know, I've really gotten to know Coach Revelle a little bit, and have come to really respect and admire, you know, Rhonda for the way she approaches things, and a lot of positive energy and a positive approach, not just in softball, but the entire athletic department, and just so much to celebrate with that team. A team that was so resilient along the way, and I think at one point it just reminded me of a team that just, you know, losing was not an option to them. And in really critical moments when they had to find a win, they were able to get it done. So really proud of them, and I think she's got a really strong team coming back again next year. And so they took a tremendous step forward with the softball program, and never seen so many home runs in my life. Of course,
wow.
There was a lot of wind out there at Bowlin Stadium for several of those games, but just a lot of fun to watch their energy, their passion, and frankly their care for one another. You know, I saw a lot of similarities this year between the softball team and women's basketball. You know, we talked about that before on our show, how when you looked at Amy's team, you could see a team that really enjoyed, you know, being teammates together. And so much of successful teams really comes down to that unity of purpose, that chemistry, and it's, you know, how much do you care about the person next to you, and how much are you willing to invest in that person, and frankly, not letting that person down. And I think that Rhonda and our softball program had that this year as well.
And you had a chance to go to the regional, right? In Stillwater.
I did. I you know, drove to the old stomping grounds.
It wasn't Big Eight. Yeah.
It wasn't Boone Pickens Stadium back in the early '90s, but played there a couple times, and enjoyed the sometimes, you know, getting out in the country and driving through Kansas and small towns was a nice time to reflect. And then, of course, with technology, you could be on the phone relatively the whole time I was going down there. So it was nice. It was nice to get down there and see them play. Unfortunately, you know, it didn't work out the way that the team would have liked to finish, but I thought it was a great step forward for our softball program.
Trev is with us for the entire hour. If you want to be a part of the program, 402-413-2400. That's a call or a text. We got some texts coming in we'll get to here in just a minute. Let's take a call. Gil out in central Nebraska joining us first tonight. Good evening, Gil. Welcome to the program. Gil, you there?
Who?
Gil?
You mean Joe?
Okay, Joe, go ahead. You're on with Trev.
Hi, Joe.
Okay. I've talked to Trev about this before, but I didn't get to finish it the last time we talked about it.
Okay.
You can go back to the 1965 Women's National Championship in volleyball, and you can watch the whole game. You can watch all of the postseason tournament last year in volleyball up to the runner-up game, and watch that too. And it's got all the games on there. But when it comes to women's basketball, all you get is the highlights of the game. And you can get it, and the Big Ten Championship, you can get the highlights of the women's softball game. But I'm wondering why we can't get all of the game in women's basketball. And another thing I'm wondering about is why we can't get more information on who the women softball team and the basketball team are recruiting. We can get all the information we want to on the football team, what guys are visiting and when they're visiting and their height and weight and everything. We can't get one thing about women's softball or basketball.
Now, are you talking about on the website for seeing old games? Is that what you're talking about, Huskers.com? Okay. I can answer the part about recruit. We can't talk recruiting on Sports Island because we work for the university, so we can't talk about young student athletes, men or women, that are Scott Frost is looking at, or Amy Williams looking at, or John Cook. We can't talk about that. But I don't know about getting full games up on Huskers.com.
Well, it's a good point, Joe, and I'll tell you this. I will follow up. I'll talk to Keith Mann and our folks up in communications and those that manage our website to see, if perhaps there hadn't been a previous demand, or if there's some reason why we can't post the entire games. I'll check into that. But yeah, as Greg mentioned, I think you're getting all of the information about recruiting through other sources. Yeah. That's not coming from the university itself. That would be an NCAA violation if we were out talking about recruiting in that way. But I think you've seen a dramatic shift, in terms of the coverage of women's athletics, even by our local media. Nationally, as we're celebrating 50 years of Title IX, I think you're going to continue to see even more and more magnification of the success of our women's programs, and I think that's good for everybody.
Appreciate the phone call from out there in central Nebraska. Text question for you. Wanted to know your thoughts about the recruiting and portal additions that Coach Frost and his staff have added to the team.
Well, there's been a lot written about that as well, and Vince Ginta, I think, has brought a nice energy down in the recruiting area, and in my conversations with Scott and some of our coaches, I think they genuinely feel a sense of energy and momentum, and are really pleased with the young men that they're adding, through the transfer portal. It's an interesting time, and ordinarily as us fans, we'd have that one signing date, and you might have a late addition here or there, but recruiting's never going to stop for our coaches. And now with the recent change that there's no 25-man limit, at least for the next 2 years on rosters, as long as you're within the 85 roster, you're going to continue to see in that transfer portal signings that are going to continue to happen, perhaps not with us, but across college football. So I'm just excited for them. I think they feel like they've added some really quality football players and quality young men. And, now the challenge is when you have so many different players from all over, trying to bring them together, meld together a team and a culture, because that's still going to be very, very important, right? You can have great talent, but you got to find a way to take that talent, put it within a system, learn the system, and then create some unity amongst that locker room. And I know our coaches are excited about getting the opportunity to do that. So transfer portal has been a game changer. It really has. Some positive, some negative. There's a lot of negative to it as well, but in our situation where we are as a football program right now, I think the transfer portal's been very good to Coach Frost and our staff.
There were two big things that came out, and Jessica and I talked about it last week on the program from the NCAA Division I Council. One was the 2-year cycle that you could go above 25. Mm-hmm. You like that? You good with that? And the other one was doing away with the divisions for football. That was another thing that they're now allowing leagues to do their own thing with what they want to do with that. Your thoughts on those two topics?
Yeah, I think, as long as you stay within the 85 scholarships, it's neither here nor there to me on that. I mean, I think you've really disproportionately negatively affected those schools that perhaps had some coaching changes or even had, there's schools that could never get up to the 85-man limit. And really you're limiting opportunities for young people by doing that. So, this was all instigated or put into place. I don't know what year it was when Houston Nutt signed like 38 players when he was down at Ole Miss. And so there was some folks that said, wait a minute, we've got to have some limits on the size of class. But, I think in a different era, in a transfer portal era, I think it makes some sense. I think on the division piece, Greg, I think you're going to see more of that. I think you're going to see more deregulation. I think you're going to see more of that, not less. And I think you're going to see league to league have different approaches to it. Those leagues like the Big Ten that are currently in the middle of media negotiations and media rights negotiation and extending of those rights are probably going to be a little bit later, because a lot of it's impacted by what your television partners are looking for, what kind of matchups, what kind of tolerances each institution has that we bring to the table. And ultimately, when you factor all of those things together, you'll start to get some answers. But we just happen to be a little bit different, I think, in the Big Ten, in that we're in the middle of multimedia rights or media rights negotiations, which impact all of those types of things, like divisions, number of conference games, and so on and so forth.
Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Jason in North Bend. Good evening, Jason. You're up with Trev.
Good evening. Yeah.
Hi, Jason.
There's been a lot of talk, like you just mentioned, on all the transfers that we're getting. Along with that, there's a bunch of NIL deals. And I'm just curious if there's a source that the public can access that provides details of those NIL deals, like if there's any guaranteed payments or performance mechanisms in those contracts.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Yeah, that's not anything that we at the university could release. Those are not deals that the university makes. So the university is not allowed to directly engage in either procurement or inducement of prospective student athletes. And so What we have, Jason, is through Open Doors, our student athletes are required to, make us aware of any of their name, image, and likeness deals. And so they have to declare those deals through Open Doors in our compliance department. And then Jamie Vaughn and our compliance team and Jonathan Bateman then are working through to make sure that the deals that are struck are ultimately executed. So we have, at this point, limited understanding about what those contracts look like, what the requirements are. Those are third-party deals that are done through what's called a collective. And, there are multiple collectives at the University of Nebraska. The one that you've probably heard of most prominently is called ABM. And ABM is in the market of procuring those deals for our student athletes. And so they're the ones that are managing what those contracts look like and ultimately what the requirements of those contracts are.
Jason, appreciate the phone call. Buckle up, put the phone down. A reminder from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. One more caller before we go to our first break. We'll stay in Lincoln. Mo, you're up with Trev. Good evening.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Doing well, Mo. How are you tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to say, Trev, I think you're doing a heck of a good job.
Well, that's nice of you, Mo. That's one in the good column.
Yeah, I understand. Hey, I've got a problem with everybody's talking about this division realignment stuff, and they're talking about this 3-5-5, but nobody explains what the heck that is. And I'd like, if you can explain it, that's what I'd like to know. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, Mo, no, before you hang up, you need to explain to me what I'm not sure I understand the do you know what?
I know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind, Mo. Greg's going to help me.
The ACC is floated out a 3-5-5 where you're going to play the same, this is football, same three teams every year. So for Nebraska, that might be Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. Then you're going to play 5 other teams in the league. The next year, you're going to play 5 different teams in the league. But they're still the same 3. So you would rotate through your league that way. That's what the ACC is looking at. And we've talked about that. It's been floated out there. The Big Ten, that's one of the models they're looking at as well.
Yeah, and I apologize, Mo. I was thinking 3-3-5. That's an old defense I used to cover for years that became in vogue for a while
there.
in Iowa. Yeah. I think the challenging thing for fans is this, and I certainly respect all of the national opinions. I think it's wonderful. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. The reality is that we're hearing about a lot of different ideas, and it's conjecture and it's opinions, and quite frankly, a lot of it comes from a position of personal interest, which is great. But it just adds a little bit to the confusion. Quite frankly, there are a lot of questions, and there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes. And yes, that there is some thought to that. The challenge for all of us is that when you have, numbers that don't make sense, or when you can't get enough round-robin games in football, it's trying to figure out how do you create competitive equity, especially if you're not going to have divisions. I mean, how are you going to determine who your conference champion is? Every single year it's going to be, how could Wisconsin or Nebraska win the championship that year? They didn't even play Penn State or Michigan State. I mean, that's what you're going to get. And so there's been, and we've had those same kind of conversations in the Big Ten. If you listed the teams, that were sort of non-negotiables from a rivalry perspective, who would your top 2 be, and then who would your top 4 be? And then the question is, how do you create some equity around, a schedule? The problem with that is true equity would mean you would have to have that scheduling philosophy for about 25 or 30 years for it all to even out. And but there is some thinking around it. There's some, and I think it's good thinking. Then there's some thinking around, should every one of our student athletes have the opportunity to play in every stadium over their career in the Big Ten? I think there's some rationale to that. Well, now things like the transfer portal and others kind of make some of those, opinions a little, less relevant. So I just think at the end of the day, as you look at conferences, and I can just tell you from the Big Ten's perspective, I think all of these are sort of intertwined. It's your television partner, and it's running a good business to generate the kind of revenue that we can benefit in terms of what the distribution is. It's the college football playoff. What ultimately does that look like? And how do we create a structure that's in the best interest of our partners, but also allows us to have access. At the end of the day, we're trying to win championships in the Big Ten. So how do we gain that access? And then what's the future of college football look like? What is that structure going to look like? What's the governance structure? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about deregulation and putting the, all of that down at the conference level and letting the conferences. So I think when you combine all of those different factors, it's much more nuanced than I think just this easy, well, why don't we do this? And I think that the Big Ten, I know that the Big Ten is being very thoughtful, very careful. This isn't something that, can get easily changed. And so as we work through, and we just happen to be, one of the only in the Power Five, if not the only, I guess, that's in the middle of media rights negotiations, that really impacts some of this stuff for us. But I think a lot of the athletic directors in the Big Ten that I've talked to are proponents of scrapping the division and saying the two best teams ought to get a chance to play, for the conference championship. And that would be my opinion as well.
Pac-12 came out last week and said, we're doing away with it right now. You don't envision that happening for this fall, do you, in the league in any way?
No.
Oh, so we're locked into divisions for the fall. All right, good to know. We need to take a break. Our sports
that could change.
What's that?
No, that could change.
I know it could change by tomorrow. Exactly. We know how this fluid situation is. Our Sports Alley hotline is brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto family. Shop Woodhouse first 18 brands, 16 convenient locations. Simplified car buying to save you time. Shop finance, buy online at woodhouse.com. 402-413-2400. A lot more to get to with Trev coming up next.
Shop Woodhouse Buick GMC first for all your vehicle needs. With 2 ways to shop, we make car buying easy. Purchase your new or certified pre-owned vehicle all from the comfort of your own home with available pickup and delivery options. Plus, chat with a sales team member, reserve your vehicle, and complete a credit application online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. Or visit our climate-controlled showroom for comfortable shopping year-round. Streamlining your car buying experience. This is Woodhouse Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
A tradition of winning doesn't happen overnight. Like any team, you gotta be tough, play smart, and work hard. No one understands this more than Ford Motor Company. They built the best team in the game with Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks 45 years straight, the iconic Ford Bronco, and the most powerful Ford Explorer ever. Shop online at buyfordnow.com or visit your local Ford dealer to buy or custom build the perfect truck or SUV for you. Based on 1977 to 2021 calendar year total sales.
Momentum. It's building at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. With game-changing work in precision agriculture, nanoscience, and digital humanities. We're unlocking mysteries in brain research, solving the impossible with remote surgery using robots. And we're creating bold futures with world-leading research in early childhood education. We don't slow down, and we're not letting up. We are Nebraska.
Want to get all the latest Husker news straight to your phone? Need to be the first of your friends to get the scoop on all things Huskers? Sign up for text alerts from Nebraska Athletics. Text Huskers to 83200 to get game time notifications and updates, breaking news, special ticket offers, and more straight to your phone. All the Husker news is just a quick text away. Just text Huskers to 83200. Standard text messaging rates apply and may vary by carrier. Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Touchdown, Nebraska!
If you're doing business in Nebraska, the best way to connect your organization with the excitement surrounding the Huskers is through a partnership with Nebraska Athletics. You can take your business to the next level by reaching loyal Husker fans through in-venue signage, digital and social media, radio advertising, and more.
Got it!
Join the Husker team today and email partners@huskers.com to learn more about opportunities to connect with Husker Nation. That's partners@huskers.com.
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
You always dreamed of owning your own farm. Now you're living your dream, and it's time to pick the tractor that makes it all come together. Massey Ferguson has reinvented what compact and utility tractors can be and redefined what they do, making them easier to operate, more comfortable to drive, more versatile than ever. Massey Ferguson gives Nebraska farmers the power and performance to win in the field. Osceola Implement in Osceola, Nebraska, your locally owned Massey Ferguson dealer. Proud supporters of the Huskers and Nebraska farmers.
When you're a sports fan, it's kind of like having a new love interest. You want to know all about them. Only instead of learning about someone's third-grade crush, you want to know the latest scores, stats, and lineups. To get that, you need Cox Internet. Cox gives you that window to look deeply into your beloved team's soul. Not to mention their injury list. Cox, we're sports 24/7. Learn more at cox.com/sports.
From sprains and stitches to sore throats and sinus infections. When it's care that can't wait, count on CHI Health Clinic Priority Care. Simply walk in 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You'll get the quality care you need without an appointment, and you'll never pay more than a regular primary care visit. Get in, get out, and get on with your day. Find a location near you at chihealth.com/priority care.
Everyone knows that Dakota Mac is known for their great rates on long-term fixed ag real estate loans. But just how long-term are they? Well, even longer term than your first ride on the Gravitron at the county fair. And even longer term than the line to buy the corn dog you definitely shouldn't have eaten before you got on the Gravitron. Oof, so long-term.
It's Jim Persinger from Dakota Mac. Give me a call at 308-284-3260 to learn all about our competitive rates on 30-year fixed-rate loans.
Back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, it's sponsored by Acres, the Midwest's premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. It's our athletic director show, our final one for this school year with Trev Alberts here until the top of the hour. If you want to be a part of the program, 402-413-2400. You had a big announcement earlier today about a football 3-game ticket package. What do the folks need to know about this?
Well, you know, Greg, we've talked a lot about this survey we sent out, and we're hoping to have some more conversation about that survey relatively soon. But the point is we heard from some of our fans about wanting some more ticketing options, you know, rather than just your traditional single game or season tickets. And so really proud of our ticket office and some of the thinking that went behind, you know, a 3-game pack, $180, and basically 2 games in each month. You get to pick. You can pick and choose what games you want. And so, you know, for instance, you get in that September, you can pick North Dakota or Georgia Southern, one in October, either Indiana or Illinois, and then one in November, either Minnesota or Wisconsin. So you can kind of create and customize your own mini 3-game pack based on what your schedule looks like and when your family can come to the game. So I think it's a great option and alternative for our fans, and so kind of a 3-game mini pack for next football season.
And that goes on sale Wednesday.
It's going to go on sale on Wednesday.
Very nice. Are season tickets still an option? If somebody's out there going, maybe I can still jump in there. Is that still an option?
Absolutely. We're always in a season ticket sale. And we have actually a few of them left on the east and west side of the stadium. We have some season tickets left. Not a lot there, but we do have some available. I can give some other updates if that's all right. Do we have time?
We do.
So we've had 92% renewal rate on our season tickets, which I think, you know, in light of the last several years is again, just remarkable on our fans, their support. And that's somewhat in line with what it's been in recently, a little bit less than what it's previously been. But again, want to thank our fans. And so, you know, when you do the math, we're roughly, and this is a hard thing to estimate, Greg, because each team will request a certain amount of tickets and depending on how many they sell. But we roughly have between 3,700 and 5,100 tickets to sell, you know, for various games this fall. So we do have some work to do in that area, and depending on the game, some of those games have fewer tickets to move, some of them up to 5,100 tickets. So just want to be transparent with our fans about the challenge that's ahead of us. Want to thank those that did renew their tickets, and want to encourage others to help us in customizing their own ticket package.
92% sounds pretty good. Obviously, Georgia Southern won't use as many tickets as maybe Minnesota.
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? You know, North Dakota Dakota might bring a whole lot of fans, because they're excited about getting a chance to come to Memorial Stadium. And so, again, just depending on who the team is, what the away, Big Ten policy sort of forces us to keep a certain number of tickets back, and so depending on how those visiting teams' tickets are used, we're sort of guesstimating between 3,700 and 5,100 tickets to get moved prior to next season.
You've referenced the survey a couple times, and I know you're still combing through some of that. One of the topics in that survey was about one of the great traditions of Nebraska football, and that's balloons. And it's come up on your show a couple of different times the last couple of months. Any update there? Yeah, we do have an update, and this isn't a great update for those fans that are, love the tradition of the red balloons, as do I. We've talked a little bit in the past about the balloons and obviously the environmental impact, and it's a real thing, and we've continued to do the balloons. This year's a little bit different. While we're still concerned about the environmental impact of the balloons, the reality is acquiring helium in today's day and age, given some of the challenge and some of the production of it is really challenged, and it's been hard to get. And so we've sort of been asked by the university to the helium that we are getting as a university, we need to use for medical purposes at UNMC and Omaha. And so we are this year not going to be providing the red balloons for the first time at Memorial Stadium. We're going to work with Brandon Meyer and our marketing department to try to come up with something, whether it's digitally or something to sort of designate and keep it alive. And we're working really hard on some alternatives in the future, but I just want to be upfront with our fans. I know it's a little bit early yet, but as we looked into it as an athletic department, it became pretty clear that very limited supply of helium, and it was going to be hard to get, and some of the supply chain issues that are out there right now. And I think some of the helium, if I'm not mistaken, is over in Russia, and we're just having a difficult time, and so we made the decision to end that tradition this year. And the Indy 500 is coming up this weekend here, Memorial Weekend, big spectacle in Indianapolis. They've done a big balloon thing. They've stopped that this year as well for some of the same reasons that you talked about there as well. All right, let's get a call before we go to our next break. Let's go to Omaha. And Kathy, good evening. Kathy, you're up with Trev.
Hey, hi, how are you guys?
Doing great, Kathy. How are you tonight?
Good, very good. All right, my first topic is about food.
Food. I like food.
Food. I know, me too. So I know we have favorites at the stadium that we always like, Valentino's Pizza and Runza's. But can we do steak on a stick?
Well, that sounds really good to me. I don't know why we can't.
It does.
Well, I will just tell you, Kathy, so as part of, and it's getting a little bit redundant now, the modernization plan, we are diving into every single component. We've got a wonderful committee and group that, has been so kind and generous with their time. While it's been relatively quiet in terms of the media, we've been meeting every 3 weeks. We are basically done with a draft of our work, and we are diving into every single area, and the food piece and hospitality piece is a component of what our planning looks like, and trying to figure out, because there's certain amenity levels that need to be met in each of these areas. Now, the specifics of, steak on a stick, we haven't really got into that granular detail at this point, but, I do think that, re-examining every single thing we're doing as part of the Husker fan experience is going to be part of what we do. I can also tell you that we've had a food service consultant that has done a little review and frankly has given us some feedback. And so much, as you pointed out, that we're doing is awesome. And listen, we're never not going to have Valentino's or Runza or hot dogs in Memorial Stadium. But are there some other things that we can add to the experience? We're certainly looking at that.
Oh, well, good, because I just thought because beef, Nebraska, it's kind of a good tie-in.
Well, it is, Kathy, and we've talked a little bit about this on this show. I think it was on this show, but we're working as a staff to figure out ways that we can better connect ourselves with agriculture in the state of Nebraska. And I think it's one of the areas. Of course, we've got some partnerships, and they're well placed, but I think what the state of Nebraska brings to this athletic department is so unique. When you think about Omaha and Lincoln and all the way out west, and we have business and entrepreneurship, and we have innovation, and we have agriculture, we have everything in this state, and we need to embrace and take advantage of all of it. And so I'm hoping to have some of those types of real strategic partnerships in place as well. And I know beef, milk, all of those agriculture programs, pork, all of it is really, really important to the state of Nebraska.
Kathy, appreciate the call. Need to take a break. 402-413-2400, the number to dot us up with a comment or question or fire off a text. We're back with more with the Husker Athletic Director next.
A DUI is everything you didn't prepare for. You did not save for it. You did not train for it. You did not go to school for it. You did not raise your family or buy a house or get a job for it. It is not your life goal or a dream come true. You have planned for everything in your life. You did not plan for a DUI. Get a ride. A DUI costs more than you think.
Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hi, I'm Nebraska Pick 3.
I'm My Day.
I'm 2x2. We're 3 great lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery.
And this is our first radio spot ever.
But we've only got 30 seconds.
So we gotta talk fast.
With Nebraska Pick 3, you get to choose your own bet type.
With My Day, you choose a 6-digit date.
And 2x2 has a $22,000 top prize.
And we're all just $1 per play with drawings every day.
That was easy.
And we did great.
With 8 seconds to spare. We should be doing all the lottery's ads.
Sorry, that gig is already taken. Must be 19, please play responsibly.
Preparation. It's the key to success on game day. And like your favorite Huskers on the field, you need to be ready right from the opening kickoff. Cenex has your pregame routine covered. We've got your salty snacks, your sweet treats, ice-cold beverages to wash them down, and fresh tanks of propane to fire up the grill. Fuel your fandom at your local Cenex station. Husker Pride, powered locally.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it is safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief, nutrition, or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health. Find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Whether you compete on the court, at the track, on the field, or in the fields, winning isn't just a goal. It's a mindset, shaped, honed, and defined throughout the season. That's why farmers pushing themselves to be the best plant DeKalb brand corn. Wherever you compete, winning has roots. Perform at your best with DeKalb. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Huskers, do you want a fulfilling career that's financially rewarding? Explore the many ways you can be a part of the insurance community. Go to iian.org/careers today. Business insurance is a lot to manage. Did you know a trusted choice independent insurance agent can help guide you through it at no extra cost to you? They'll do your insurance. You just do you. Find out more at trustedchoice.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're ready to pursue a career-building college degree, go with the school you know and trust, the University of Nebraska. And if you need the flexibility, convenience, and affordability of an online degree program, you can go online with the University of Nebraska. With courses developed specifically for the online learner by our 4 regionally accredited NU campuses, it's a valuable online education for your very real-world future. Go to online.nebraska.edu to learn more.
Want to get all the latest Husker news straight to your phone? Need to be the first of your friends to get the scoop on all things Huskers? Sign up for text alerts from Nebraska Athletics. Text Huskers to 83200 to get game time notifications and updates, breaking news, special ticket offers, and more straight to your phone. All the Husker news is just a quick text away. Just text Huskers to 83200. Standard text messaging rates apply and may vary by carrier.
Shop Woodhouse Buick GMC first for all your vehicle needs. With 2 ways to shop, we make car buying easy. Purchase your new or certified pre-owned vehicle all from the comfort of your own home with available pickup and delivery options. Plus, chat with a sales team member, reserve your vehicle, and complete a credit application online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. Or visit our climate-controlled showroom for comfortable shopping year-round. Streamlining your car buying experience. This is Woodhouse Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
Nothing goes better with Husker sports than Fairbury. Fairbury, premium quality hot dogs deliver the home game experience to your family and friends. The highest quality beef, pork, and natural spices give you the best tasting hot dog and your hometown favorite Big Red hot dog. Look for Fairbury hot dogs all year long at your local grocery store. Fairbury, the official hot dog of the Huskers and Nebraska fans everywhere.
At Great Western Bank, they understand what commitment to community means. It's more than setting up shop. For Great Western Bank, commitment means growing together and serving their communities. With more than 50 locations in Nebraska, they are dedicated to making life great. Thank you, Lincoln, for allowing them to be a part of this great community. Great Western Bank, member FDIC.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm journalism student Grace Fitzgibbon with Campus News. The university has a new undergraduate business and law major. Students majoring in business and law are learning to use legal knowledge to better solve business challenges. They are also gaining skills in regulatory compliance, financial services, securities regulation, and corporate social responsibility. Upon graduation, they will boost the state's talent pool in these critical areas of expertise.
Back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, it is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres solutions for every field. About 15 more minutes left with Mr. Alberts. Our final show until August as the school year is wrapped up, and just a couple things left. Still have some track athletes doing some things. On our text line, Dale in Scottsbluff wants to know how much input do member universities, whether it's the ADs or chancellors, have in the media negotiations for the league rights?
Well, we do have impact, and obviously it's not just the athletic directors, but it's the chancellors and presidents as well. They ultimately are the decision makers, and so Chancellor Green and I have had conversations, and I think at the end of the day, what institutions are going to have to do is we're going to have to list what our tolerances are. So if you can imagine, if you're a network and there's multiple networks that are interested in hosting Big Ten media rights, it's what's the opportunity here? Is there streaming options? Is there primetime games in November, which right now they're, after the first week, there's no primetime games as part of the Big Ten policy. Is the Big Ten interested or be willing to play on a Thursday night? And of course, we've talked about Friday night in the past, which is kind of a non-negotiable, at least home here at the University of Nebraska. So the real question is what is the tolerance? And what are the universities willing to do? And that's something that Chancellor Green, and then in consultation with other leaders in the university, will have to sit down and figure out. But, I think we've always been about this institution. We'll take as much national exposure as we possibly can. I think showcasing our university and particularly our athletic department through football and our other sports has been great. So we do have some input. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the dollars are directly tied to the tolerances of the institutions and ultimately the Big Ten. And that's just a reality.
The commissioner takes the lead on a lot of that, doesn't he?
The commissioner takes a lead, but he's not, sort of unilaterally making these decisions. He's got a committee set up that has members of the Big Ten ADs as well as FARs and presidents.
Very good. Dale, appreciate the text. Let's go to Beatrice and Paul. Good evening, Paul. You're up with Trev.
Hi, Trev.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Doing a little work.
Well, good for you, Paul. Are you doing chores or what?
Oh, some gardening.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm behind on my gardening, Paul.
I think a lot of people are.
What can we do for you, Paul?
My question is, how could the Big Ten Conference just sit by and do nothing and allow Purdue not to play when it wasn't even raining there, just so they could guarantee a Big Ten tournament spot?
Well, it's a good question, Paul, and I'm glad you brought that up. And I've talked to Coach Bolt about this, and it's challenging, and you have to. You're hoping and trusting that your colleagues are doing everything they can to get the games in. I mean, at the end of the day, Purdue and Maryland, neither of which probably had a real vested interest in getting the game in, but. Dennis LeBlanc, who is our sport administrator, he's been at the university a very long time, works with Will, made several phone calls on behalf of the university. And at the end of the day, the Big Ten sort of allows the institutions to work together on these things. And I think that Dennis, felt comfortable that those two schools were reasonably doing what they could to get the game in. And yes, we're disappointed. Obviously, we're disappointed not to be in Omaha. But, as Will and I talked, and this isn't me talking, this is Will. At the end of the day, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. And we had multiple opportunities this year to win a couple games to get ourselves into the tournament. So the real lesson here is make sure in the future we don't put ourselves in a position to have to hope that a game gets played where there's a chance and a threat of weather. And so unfortunately not in it. And just like last year, maybe we weren't quite as good as we thought. We're not nearly as bad as what our record is right now. I think we have a really good baseball program, and I told that to Will. Disappointed not to be in the tournament, but I think you'll see a different team next year.
Paul, appreciate the call. Nebraska 811 says, go dig red before you dig. Always call or click 811 to have your utility lines marked. It's free. It's easy. It's the law. Need to slip our last break in. One segment still left with Trev, 402-413-2400. Back to wrap it up next.
At Nebraska, our people will always be our greatest asset. Day by day, donors give our teams the best opportunity to compete and win through their generous donations. Our vision for the future is ambitious and requires help from those who want to see Husker athletics excel at the highest level. Go big and join thousands of other Huskers Athletic Fund members with your gift today at huskers.com/donate.
At Groundworks, we take great pride in helping our Nebraska neighbors keep their homes healthy. From repairing foundations to waterproofing basements to fixing crawl spaces or lifting concrete driveways. We'd like to think our customers choose us because of our attention to detail or the fact that we're the nation's leading foundation solutions provider. What gives our customers the most comfort is we're right here in Nebraska. Visit groundworks.com for a free estimate. Groundworks, foundation solutions crafted with pride. The official foundation company of the Huskers.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it is safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief, nutrition, or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health. Find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
There is no place like Nebraska, and there's no place that treats you like home like Sapp Brothers. For 50 years, Sapp Brothers has fueled America's heartland and been a reliable partner to local farms and Husker fans across Nebraska. Providing the highest quality fuel, lubricants, and propane, servicing your farming equipment and welcoming guests into their travel centers. Visit www.sappbros.net. Sapp Brothers is proud to be an official partner of Husker Athletics.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
You already got the hat, the jersey, maybe even the occasional red and white face paint. So kick things off right this season and add the FNBO Husker Visa debit card to the list. Pay loud and proud for every Husker decal, t-shirt, or hot dog at the game. Wear your heart on your sleeve and in your wallet with the Husker Visa debit card, free with any checking account from FNBO, the bank of Husker Nation. Get yours today at fnbo.com/Huskers. Member FDIC.
The 2022 Nissan Rogue Sport is street savvy, road trip ready, and always fun to drive. Equipped with standard features like rear automatic braking, blind spot warning, and high beam assist, so you can surround yourself with confidence on the road. Plus, explore the 3 Rogue Sport trims to find the one that's right for you and your lifestyle. Choose your experience and shop, finance, and purchase online at woodhouse.com or in store at Woodhouse Nissan in Bellevue or at Woodhouse Place.
Our Sports Nightly Hotline brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto family. Shop Woodhouse, first 18 brands, 16 convenient locations. Simplified car buying to save you time. Shop, finance, buy online at woodhouse.com. A few more minutes left with Trev Alberts, our last show until August with the Husker Athletic Director. Let's go out to Sydney. And is it Randall? Randall, you're up with Trev.
Okay, hi guys. Hi Trev. Yeah, I'm a single guy. I live out here in the Plains.
Yeah.
We're Cabela's was founded. So as an alpha line kind of thing, I went ahead and looked at the price or cost of going to Ireland. And it was not good. It was like $6,000. It was like $6,000.
Ireland.
And I looked at the hotel situation. It was a whole other story. I didn't understand what it was. But you fly out there and you basically stay 3 days, but you don't just stay at that hotel until that's 3 days. So you fly out there the 4th day before and the 4th day after. So that threw me for a loop. I didn't quite understand it. So that's why I won't be going anyway. But I thought, boy, has anybody ever checked into this? The flight over there?
Well, thank you, Randall, and I think I got most of what you said, and I appreciate the challenge for you, and I understand, the ticket prices and airfare and all of those things are a challenge for some of our fans, and I recognize that, and the game, a lot has changed since we originally agreed to play in the game. We're excited to play in it. We wish more of our fans would have an opportunity to get over to Ireland, but I do recognize and understand what the challenge is. I know the hotel prices are a challenge as well, and I also know that I think the Cornhusker fans that are scheduled to be in Ireland, if it isn't 3-1, it's 2-1 over Northwestern fans. And so the Husker fans, as always, have showed up, and we're going to have a great, quote, home field advantage over there. But I recognize and understand and sympathize with the challenge of trying to follow the Huskers over to a place like Ireland.
You'll be there, right?
I will be there.
Yep, good. One last caller for the night, Mark in Omaha. You're up with Trev. Good evening.
Oh, yes, thank you. I was wondering if there will be improvements in the volleyball park for next season.
The parking?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark, and I'll be honest with you, I've observed that myself and recognize there's a lot of work to do there. And, we've talked about a lot of different options, and as Innovation Campus, there's a master plan over there, and so it isn't just Devaney, it's a lot of other things of working with Chancellor Green on and trying to figure all that out. The long-term solution over at Devaney is a parking garage, and the reality is those are expensive and they're difficult. And if we can get some more clarity on how some of those outlots are going to fill in and what the needs in terms of parking will be, I think there's some things that we can do in the short term. But in the immediate future, I don't think you're going to see drastic change in a positive perspective in the parking at volleyball. And I don't feel good about that, to be honest with you, because that fan base has been as loyal as anybody. But if you have ideas, if there's some small things that we can tweak to make it easier, more convenient, we will do the best that we can to do that. But that's an area that we are not in a strong position, and I apologize to our volleyball fans on that.
Any chance to plan a match at PBA?
I talked to John a little bit about that, and he doesn't want to play conference games there for obvious reasons. And
10 seconds.
So not immediately. I'm working with Coach Cook.
Okay.
He didn't want to move over to Devaney either, so it'll take a little time.
Good to see you. Have a great summer.
Good to see you too.
There's our Trev Alberts show for the month of May, and then our Hour Sports Nightly coming up.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Shop Woodhouse Ford first and experience the difference. The all-new 2022 Bronco Sport is built wild for the thrill seeker, the sightseer, and the day tripper. A capable and dependable SUV that's ready to tackle the dirt, dust, and mud. Bronco Sport offers 4 models to match the way you explore the outdoors. Shop, finance, and buy your way. Online at WoodhouseFord.com or one of our 3 convenient Ford locations in Blair, Omaha, or Plattsmouth.
Celebrating 50 years in the commercial real estate development industry in Omaha and nationwide, Noddle Companies is proud to continue its tradition of supporting Husker athletics. Check out what's new in Omaha, which includes revolving recreation and the food hall at Zone 6 in Exarban Village. Another exciting project coming soon are the Blackstone Urban Row townhomes. Noddle Companies, creating long-term value through community development. For more information, visit noddlecompanies.com. Go Big Red.
Momentum. It's building at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. With game-changing work in precision agriculture, nanoscience, and digital humanities. We're unlocking mysteries in brain research, solving the impossible with remote surgery using robots. And we're creating bold futures with world-leading research in early childhood education. We don't slow down, and we're not letting up. We are Nebraska.
Hy-Vee Mealtime to Go is mealtime made easy. Just order delicious meals online for convenient curbside pickup or have it delivered. Want breakfast? Hy-Vee Mealtime to Go. Need lunch? Hy-Vee Mealtime to Go. Doing dinner? Hy-Vee Mealtime to Go. Get pancakes, burgers, fried chicken, lasagna, Hai Chai Asian dishes, sushi, pizza, and more. If you're craving it, Hy-Vee Mealtime to Go has it with curbside pickup or delivery. Order today at Hy-Vee.com/mealtime.
Welcome inside the Acres Broadcast Center. I'm Tim Mulhaupt, and this is your Sports Nightly Ticker. Welcome into a new week, Huskers fans. You just heard from Trev Alberts in the hour we just got done with. And in the second hour tonight, we'll be joined by Ben McLaughlin, who will help put a bow on the Huskers baseball season. And we switch over now to the Pro Sports Scoreboard, which is a busy one tonight in the MLB. Currently in action, the Rockies are at the Pirates. It's tied at 1 in the fourth. The Cubs are at the Reds. Chicago leads that one 1-0, also in the fourth. The Orioles just jumped ahead of the Yankees 3-2 in the third. Dodgers and Nationals are squaring off, where the Dodgers currently have a 2-0 lead in the fourth. Phillies and Braves are scoreless in the second. The Twins just opened up a 4-0 lead in the opening frame against the Tigers. That one's heading into the second inning. The Blue Jays and Cardinals are also scoreless heading into the second frame. Just about to get started, the Guardians are taking on the Astros. That'll get underway at 7:10 p.m. And at 8:40, 3 games will kick off. It's the Royals at the Diamondbacks, the Brewers at the Padres, the Athletics at the Mariners, and at 8:45, the Mets will take on the Giants. As we switch over now to the playoffs, where both the NBA and the NHL are busy. It's the NBA seeing the Heat and Celtics tipping off at 7:30. That's game 4 of that series. Miami holds the lead in that one 2-1. There's a lot of game time decisions for both teams in terms of player health, so keep an eye on that one. And the NHL, the Lightning are looking to sweep the Panthers in the Battle of Florida as it's scoreless heading into the second period. The Lightning with a win would advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Avalanche and the Blues will square off later tonight at 8:30 p.m. The Avs lead that series 2-1, and quite a lot of drama off the ice as players getting death threats in St. Louis. So not great storylines coming out of that one, but a good series nonetheless. That's the Ticker. I'm Tim Mulhaupt, and this is Sports Nightly on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who reminds you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Bischoff comes set, and the pitch. Fastball drilled into center field. Racing back is on. Racing back. It's over his head, and it is gone. Home run, Bryce Matthews. Day with a line, the first pitch, and Wallace grounds it back up the middle, base hit to center field. Squire scores. Andrews around third. She's gonna score, and the Huskers take the lead.
Banjoff turns and crushes one to left. Mays is back. He's to the wall. He looks and is gone. Banjoff gets a homer out of here to left. The Huskers add another one. It's 9-3, Cornhuskers. First pitch to Peter on. Lifted in the air to left. Wind's going to help it. Banjoff back. He's to the track. He's to the wall. He jumps and makes a terrific catch as he falls into the fence for out number 3.
3-1 Huskers. First pitch. Livingston grounds to third. Gray to her left has it. Throws to first. In time! And Nebraska has won the 2022 Big Ten Tournament title! For the first time in school history, they've won the Big Ten Tournament Championship.
Here are your hosts, Greg Sharp and Jessica Cootie on the Huskers Radio Network.
And we're back, hour number 2. Welcome Jessica Cootie on board the program. Always fun to have the AD in the house, isn't it? It was good to have him here.
Yeah, it flies by. It's like that first segment was like you look down and it's 25 minutes and then you got to rush it around and get all the breaks in and all that. But he's so engaging to talk to and willing to take whatever call. So I was sitting over here, I looked up, I was like, oh, it's my turn now. That went by fast.
I thought 2 of the biggest things in the hour was the 92% renewal rate for season tickets for football, and he used the number gives us between 3,700 and 5,100 tickets per game to sell, depending on how many tickets the visitors put out. I thought that was a pretty big number right there.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then the other big news, obviously, the balloons. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So.
And you knew it would be.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not a scientist person. I didn't realize helium was in
short supply.
Short supply.
It is. The cost of that. If anybody's thrown a graduation party here in the last couple weeks, they probably have realized, man, it costs a lot to get it costs a lot to get everything right now. Gas, everything's pretty high priced.
I know. I just drove back from Oklahoma. Gas was miserable.
$50 to get your tank filled, maybe $60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. You were down in Oklahoma. You were down there for the softball regional. What a great year. It didn't end the way anybody wanted it to, but to get to a regional, win a regional game was neat.
Yeah, there's a lot of young talent on that team. Even the old talent that's on that team have never, kind of similar to women's basketball, never experienced a postseason. And it's just such a different feel of what it takes. Especially, I thought it might have been more beneficial for Nebraska to lose the first game and then come back and play Fordham, and then, because it was a little bit, you could tell that North Texas had a lot of momentum after beating Fordham,
right,
and then turning right around and beating Nebraska when Nebraska was maybe a little bit down after beating Oklahoma State. It's a tough road to go on, and you got to get a feel for it and understand what it takes to move through that bracket, and the importance of winning, and honestly, the importance of hosting. So, trying to figure out what you can do to secure an opportunity to host a regional is absolutely important too. I think this young team learned a lot about what it takes to go compete, obviously to win a Big Ten title, but then what it takes to go a little bit further than what they went this year.
The hosting thing is the key, because and the only Big Ten team still left is Northwestern, and they hosted.
Right.
So that's so key to do that. And also, I think, that team was so good offensively, but they have slowed down offensively the last month. They didn't score a lot of runs, really, in the Big Ten tournament, but their pitching was so good they were able to win that thing.
Yeah, bats really cooled off a little bit, and I know that a lot of that too is, boy, the pitching that they saw this weekend was really outstanding. North Texas had a couple of good pitchers, and then obviously Oklahoma State had really good pitching as well, which they didn't even see the ace for Oklahoma State, but even their other two pitchers are really solid too. So, it's slowed down a little bit, and a lot of that is the pitching gets better as you go along too. So you got to figure out how to manage that, and they did such a good job of it throughout the season. But you got to figure out how to stay on ahead of those. As the pitching gets better, your bats have to keep getting better as well.
Right. And I think they probably peaked with the bats maybe even a month ago, because I don't know that they've swung it as well in late April and May as they did late March and April. That's when they really got it cranking.
Yeah, I mean, and what was the comeback from Minnesota was really the last big outburst that we saw, but it was okay because, you found a way to put runs on the board against good pitching, but they couldn't find a way to do that as many runs as they needed this weekend. But even, Michigan, their pitcher's outstanding, and they found a way to score on her. But yeah, you got to be able to figure out a way to manufacture some of those runs, and they might not come all in bunches like we were used to seeing, but you definitely got to find a way to put more runs on the board than what they did this weekend.
6 years, long time, a gap between postseason appearances. I think it was just big to get back into postseason and get the feel of that. So now that group feels it. They also feel the pain of not moving on. And so now you carry that on as motivation next fall.
Yeah, it's so different to know, as you're moving along throughout a season, and then it's just all of a sudden, oh, it's here. If you've never experienced that, to where you're going to play and you don't know when your last game is, and then it all of a sudden is over,
right?
It's just a different feeling, and getting that sense of urgency of understanding, we got to take care of business here or it's over. It's just, once you experience it, you know it. And none of these players had to experience that. So I think they'll take a lot away from that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long gap in postseason play. And I know Coach Ravel knew this was a big year. Her team responded to that. And as a big chunk of that group is back next year, that will really do them well going next year. The Cowgirls ended up winning that regional, so they've moved on this week. And as I mentioned, only one Big Ten team still left. That is Northwestern, as the Super Regionals come up here this weekend.
I think, too, another thing, just to put a bow on this, I think because when Nebraska took the lead over Oklahoma State, and then they had the error, the miscommunication on the third, and then Oklahoma State ends up scoring, you could just tell the wind out of the sails a little bit. And a lot of that was because of that inexperience. I think, knowing how to respond and be in that big moment. And then it was almost like the wheels kind of came off a little bit, because they were competing with Oklahoma State. They were pitching it well. They were playing great defense. And then it was like an uncharacteristic mistake that they made defensively. Nebraska has been a great defensive team all year. It just was a kind of an uncharacteristic mistake. And then it looked like a little bit, to me, that was the moment that it looked like, okay, this is a team that hadn't been here, and they needed to feel that and get that experience. And I just think so many different instances that they were in over the weekend, they will learn so much from, and it will fuel them going into next season.
Why have replay if you don't use it? Because that play at first base in the North Texas game looked like that should have been an out.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's always bothered me. It's like, I love replay, but when it ultimately, I don't know what they were looking at that they didn't call that
Here's
an out.
my thing is that The ump that called her safe, right? She was on the other side of the bag, so she couldn't see the foot.
Right.
Maya's foot on the other side. She probably couldn't see that it was right there up next to that bag. And then I think they're saying, well, we can't see it on the replay either. But if you can't call it, if you can't see it where her foot is, why? I don't know.
Why'd you call her safe?
Yeah, you would think you would give the benefit of the doubt of being out if the foot was there.
Sure looked like the foot on the replay was on the bag.
It did.
That she was up against the bag.
It did, and then it was like inconclusive, and then the North Texas coach is coming out saying, why is this taking so long? You know, I mean, so was it
1-0 at that point?
Yes, it was 1-0, and
that
then
ended up turning it into 3.
Yep, and that was a big turning point in that game as well.
That's frustrating. I want your thoughts about the baseball thing with Purdue as well. I think, and Trev is right, Will Bolt is right, Nebraska needs to not let that be in anybody's hands. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. But can it also be right to not be happy that somebody seemed to go out of their way not to play a game?
Yeah, and it happened with softball for Michigan State to end up making it right. It was Michigan State, it was Rutgers and Michigan State. So it's happened on the softball side of it.
They claim they had COVID issues.
Yeah, which we said going into the season, even with basketball, that could be an issue as well.
You're right.
But we know that weather's going to happen every single year, right, with the diamond sports. But you got to figure out a way. And, I mean, it really stinks.
They had good weather Thursday and Friday, so why not get the series in?
Yeah.
You knew you had rain in the forecast Saturday. Get the series in.
Look how many times we've seen other schools play a doubleheader when they could. Or,
all the time.
Play a little bit earlier. I mean, it didn't rain for a long time. Why don't you want to get that game in? So, yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious, and I guess that's maybe where a conference could step in and say, hey, we got – but I don't know how you fix that, but it's kind of like I really appreciate the fact that Coach Bolt made sure that, hey, whatever we got to do to play this game at Illinois, because if they don't play that game, it's a different story. You know, if they win that game or they don't play that game.
Or if it's a tie.
If it's a tie or they don't play that game or they win it, we're not having this conversation. But Coach Bolt fought and did whatever he could to get that game in. Even took a bus the next day and played all, and that's not, especially being on the road, it's not ideal for a team, but he did whatever he could to get that game in. And to me, I take a lot of pride in that, the fact that, hey, at least we're doing it the right way. Purdue might not be, but at least Nebraska is.
I'm glad I'm not having to defend their position today.
Right, yes.
That's how you want to play it. Then you be you.
Yeah.
You're going to do that.
And I think as much as we're all upset and frustrated, and it would have been much better for Omaha and the businesses downtown, and you were going to have way more people go if Nebraska's in it, that stinks. But I think that Coach Bolt and the rest of this team will say we should have won one more game.
Exactly right.
We should have taken care of business. I don't think they're blaming anybody. They understand that they shouldn't have put themselves in that position. But as fans, as supporters of the program, as people in Nebraska that wanted to watch this team play in Omaha, yeah, I understand the frustrations. I'm frustrated too. I would have loved to go up there and watch that game in Omaha too.
Yep. All right, Ben's going to be along here in a minute. We're going to put a bow on the baseball season. We'll talk about a lot of other things. We won't even really get into the Purdue thing with Ben. I want your thoughts about this 3-game pack that got announced earlier today for football. We had one. I got somebody tweeted at me, well, why are we having to do this? Well, you have 92% renewal rate, which is really good in this current economy, I think, 92%. But that leaves a batch that's not sold. And as Trev laid out last hour, you have to hold so many tickets for your visitors. Some sell it, some don't. So then you're going to have that fluctuation in there. I think this is a really good compromise. I think this is a cool thing for people that have wanted to go to Husker football games for years but can't. Here's a chance for you to go to 3 games.
Yeah, and not everybody can go to every game and get season tickets. And I mean, how many times, which still blows my mind why people would get married in the fall, but how many times do you have people that, well, I can't go to this game because I have a wedding or something comes up. So sometimes you have fans that normally would maybe look into getting season tickets, maybe not, but hey, this is a way that you can get 3 games and come to 3 of those games, and you can package those up in that way. So I think it's a great deal, and it gives you an opportunity to look into coming to package those together, and you don't have to worry leading up to the game. You get those set and you get those 3, and it's a great deal.
And folks, again, it's 1 game in September, so either North Dakota or Georgia Southern, 1 October game, either Indiana or Illinois, 1 November game, either Minnesota or Wisconsin. So 1 game a month for the 3-game plan. It goes on sale Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., $180 per ticket to get to see the Huskers 3 times in the fall. I think it's a great thing. I really was hoping that he would have more information coming out of his meetings last week in Chicago, but I don't think they decided on a lot of things. That's kind of what I got. We talked about a lot, but we didn't make any decisions.
Yeah, didn't sound like any, because like you said, the Pac-12, boy, they wasted no time pulling that trigger on some of those things. But I'm sure, again, which I appreciate that the Big Ten's not going to just do it quickly, because that's what everybody's doing. Let's look into this. Let's figure out what's best for the conference. Let's talk about it. So, pretty wild how quickly that came out, and then how quickly the dominoes fell on that. But yep. I'm glad that the Big Ten's going to sit back and, hey, let's figure out what's best for this conference, what's best for the schools, because I don't know. It happened so fast. I don't know if I want it to happen or not right now. I know a lot of people are in favor of it, but for a lot of people, they like having the, like you were talking about, who you're going to play. Right. And you kind of are able, especially with Nebraska being still new to the Big Ten and building up those rivalries, it kind of, if you all of a sudden change it, you might be losing out on some of those rivalries that you're starting to develop. And you just gotta, there's things to be talked about, and especially with the new TV deal coming out, there's just a lot to kind of work through. So I'm glad that they're not pulling the trigger really quickly on this and gonna take their time and figure out what's best.
Folks, we do think we'll have some football start times later this week. Maybe the first month's games, what time those will kick off, which I know a lot of you who have family plans for some of those weekends are anxious to hear some of those kickoff times. We think we will have some before the week is out. Hey, our Sports Nightly Hotline is brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto family. Shop Woodhouse for its 18 brands, 16 convenient locations. Simplified car buying to save you time. Shop finance. Buy online at woodhouse.com. Ben McLaughlin will join me next. We'll recap the baseball season. That's straight ahead.
Welcome to Ag Answers, where we answer common questions related to farming and ranching. Today's topic, animal agriculture. There's been a lot of talk suggesting that giving up meat is good for the environment. However, livestock emissions only account for less than 4% of greenhouse gas emissions, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. Also, by reducing meat in your diet, you're missing out on all sorts of beneficial nutrients like protein, iron, and zinc. This message is brought to you by Nebraska's corn and soybean farmers.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm journalism student Grace Fitzgibbon with Campus News. Nebraska's new collaborative biosecurity lab is leading research to safeguard America's food supply against growing threats, in partnership with the U.S. Departments of Defense and Homeland Security. The lab brings together world-leading expertise in agriculture and a deep understanding of the complexities of strategic deterrence across the threat spectrum and in multiple domains.
Husker fans, get ready to be part of the excitement of the 2022-23 Nebraska women's basketball season by joining the season ticket waitlist today. The Huskers return all 5 starters from a team that won 24 games and advanced to the 2022 NCAA tournament. Make the first choice on the best seats to watch the Huskers in person at Pinnacle Bank Arena this year. Join the waitlist by July 31st at huskers.com/request list.
Visit the truck experts at Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Blair for all your new Ram truck needs. From the most awarded light-duty truck in America, the 2022 Ram 1500, to the hard-working and capable 2022 Ram 2500, we have the truck to get the job done. Stop out for a test drive in Blair during the Make the Switch event, or shop, finance, and buy online with eShop at WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Hey folks, this is Famous Dave. You know the difference between an ordinary get-together and a famous one? At most parties, the food's pretty forgettable. But imagine your table loaded with award-winning barbecue, chopped pork sandwiches, roasted chicken, and mouth-watering juicy ribs. From birthdays to corporate events, any size groups, we'll customize our menu to fit your budget. Make your next get-together fun and famous with catering from Famous Dave's. Visit famousdaves.com.
Huskers fans, it's time to plan your dream trip to Ireland and see your team face the Northwestern Wildcats at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. Single game tickets are on sale now at huskers.com/Ireland. Start the 2022 season in the best way. Plan your dream trip to Ireland and see your team face the Northwestern Wildcats at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. Buy your single game ticket today at huskers.com/Ireland.
A tradition of winning doesn't happen overnight. Like any team, you got to be tough, play smart, and work hard. No one understands this more than Ford Motor Company. They built the best team in the game with Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks 45 years straight. The iconic Ford Bronco and the most powerful Ford Explorer ever. Shop online at buyfordnow.com or visit your local Ford dealer to buy or custom build the perfect truck or SUV for you. Based on 1977 to 2021 calendar year total sales.
If there's one thing that you can count on every spring, it's that we're going to have to deal with some hail. J-Tech Construction is the company to call to make it right again. J-Tech Construction specializes in siding, roofing, windows, and gutters, even solar. They're trained for insurance claims assistance, and they can help with your insurance company. Turn to the team the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Use your favorite search engine to find J-Tech Construction online and schedule a free estimate today.
The Huskers provide the best on the field, and so does Kubota. The new Kubota L60 Limited Edition Series provides the best package for affordability, quality, and comfort, like the deluxe Grand L factory-installed cab or spacious open operator station. Maximize performance with Kubota's best-in-class HST Plus transmission and many other features of the L60 LE Series. Experience the Kubota difference. Visit NebraskaKubotaDealers.com or see Rush Kubota in West Point or Roars Machinery in Beatrice.
There's nothing better than the smoky aroma of grilled beef at the ballpark. This is Anne Marie with the Nebraska Beef Council reminding you to pick up a package of steaks or burgers for your next tailgate party. Whether you're setting up in the parking lot or cheering from home, nutritious beef is a home run choice when cheering on the Huskers. Visit beefitswhatsfordinner.com for delicious beef recipes, grilling tips, and tailgate inspirations. Beef, it's what's for dinner in Nebraska.
Insider Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. Well, the Husker baseball season is over. Came to an end on Saturday with the Huskers end the season with a win. You like that, but you just don't want it to end in the regular season. Joining me now is Ben McLaughlin to kind of put a bow on things. You've had 48 hours to digest this. Where are you at on this whole thing?
I mean, it stings, right? I mean, I think we've been a part of this once already, where the Big Ten tournament is in your own backyard and Nebraska's not a part of it. And it hurts. It hurts not being a part of it. It hurt all day Saturday. It hurt even more on Sunday once the field was announced. Obviously, you're starting to see teams show up to Omaha now. I think Rutgers had a practice at Tal Anderson today, and to not be a part of that, it's not fun. The one thing that does allow this coaching staff to do is get to work immediately. It's the worst of the two options. I think everybody part of the program wants to be playing right now. That's just not the case. But they can only control what they can control. And right now it's make the team, make the program better. I think there's going to be a heck of a lot of analysis, a lot of peeling back of the onion. I don't know that there's going to be a single part to this team that's not addressed, from how they go about their business, who goes about their business, and team message, philosophy, culture, all that stuff's going to be talked about. But this is not going to be a fun week. It's not going to be a fun week for Husker fans, and it's going to be even worse come Selection Sunday, when those pairings are announced and Nebraska's name's not called.
Yeah, this exit interview is going on this week between the coaches and the players, and I think there'll be some attrition. I think there'll be some guys that will not be back a part of this program. We could sit here and speculate. I don't know if that does us a whole lot of good, but two or three things in your eyes that were big that led to the disappointment of the year. Why wasn't the record better? Why didn't this team achieve a more successful rate?
Well, the thing that I kept coming back to throughout the year is normally Nebraska baseball teams, even going back to the Mike Anderson era, had something they could hang their hat on, whether it be good pitching or they had a good offense, or Darren Erstad's teams, you could always rely on really good defense. The other stuff kind of came and went. With this team, I felt like none of the three areas really got clicking all together ever all season. And it started weekend one in Sam Houston when, the late pitching and the defense fell apart. The offense was sluggish for so long. You can't afford to have your best players, Bryce, Max, Griff, Leighton. You can't have them be struggling for as long as you have and expect to be successful. And then you throw the pitching injuries on top of it. Now, I think Jeff Christie did an unbelievable job considering the circumstances around the pitching staff with losing the Perrys, the Bunses, the Bradfords, and throwing off the Jelkins and the Martins, and Colby Gomez just all of a sudden not pitching. I mean, you take 7 names, I don't care who they are, you just remove 7 names from any pitching staff, and you're in a hole. But that's to me the biggest thing, at least on the field. The off-the-field stuff that really bugged me was this team had 2 or 3 or 4 points throughout the year where we thought were launching pads. We thought they had built enough momentum. We're like, okay, this is what they needed to do. Now they can take that next step and really go. You know, the weekend in Arlington when they're, you know, the way they bounced back after losing the tough one to UTA, kind of thought that was a launching point. Of course, sweeping Ohio State, we're looking at each other and go, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. You know, there was a couple of those moments where we thought this team would show up to the yard the next time out and have that killer mentality that we were used to seeing, and it just never happened. It was like 1 step forward, 2 steps back the entire year. You know, the defense, the pitching, and then offensively, I think, was the biggest source of frustration for me all year. It was really all or nothing with this team. You know, those games with 11 runs on 15 hits, or those games where you're struggling to get a guy on base for 9 innings. That, to me, was the biggest surprise and the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, hitting under 250, I would never have guessed that. I thought the offense might be slow to go, but I thought by late March they would be cranked up and ready to go. 9 incoming junior college players. Do you think they will look at the portal at all and maybe try, because the portal's getting pretty active? I saw a bunch of names drop today.
Yeah, this staff is not going to left a stone unturned. If there's a good ball player out there that they feel like can help their team and is going to be a good culture fit, they're going to reach out. I mean, I think at this point we have seen enough of that around the Big Ten. Look at Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers went and grabbed 3 or 4 big-time names out of the portal last year, and almost all of them took a big step forward. Adam Mazur from Iowa. I mean, nobody expected the season that he had, and he's going to be the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. So I think you have to have some of that to a certain degree. Even the team we just played in, Michigan State. You go last year to Michigan, Benjamin Sims grabbing their shortstop from Kansas. I think if you're not doing that, you're doing yourself a disservice. You look at some of the best stars around college baseball. Arkansas grabbed a catcher from a transfer from Toledo, right? Oklahoma State's best hitter came from a home run hitting school in you know, the lower FBS ranks. You have to do that. You have to go find those players, and they're out there. But 9 JUCOs is a good place to start. Nebraska's had some pretty good success grabbing junior college players, but I 100% expect them to at least take a look to the guys that they have ties with and they feel like they can get to Lincoln.
Well, and they've done that in the last 2 years. Roach, McCarville this year. McCarville did not perform to the level of Roach did last year for this team. This team, to me, was missing that junior college, maybe outfielder, like a Polensky, who came in and did such a great job a couple of years ago, part of that team that made the run into the regionals. And maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 of these junior college guys can be that kind of player for them next year.
It's possible. Yeah, it's entirely possible. I think, you know, when you look at the newcomers, you've just got, with 9 of them, you hope to hit on 4 or 5. Right. And when I say hit, I mean guys that come in like this summer and this fall and grab a spot. Like a Polensky, like, you know, Efry to a certain degree. You know, guys that came in and said, I'm going to stick my nose in the heart of this race, and I'm coming for your job. And I know there's a handful of guys that they're really excited about that put up really good numbers at the junior college ranks that kind of have the mentality that you're looking for. When I say mentality, that to me was the biggest missing thing all year. We talked about the defense, the offense, and the pitching. Losing that core group of seniors last year really hurt. You know, Jackson and Mojo and Joe and Schwelly, you know, those guys were the heartbeat of the team. And not to say that this team didn't have leaders, but the group that I mentioned just flat wouldn't let things happen. When this team got swept by Rutgers last year, they basically said, Coach, we're good. We got this. They had the players-only meeting, the coaches meeting. They said, we're not going to let this define our season. And they never looked back, and that's when the season flipped. That's what this team was missing. They missed the guys that just refused to let things happen. I think to a certain degree, they showed up this year because of pushing Arkansas to that Game 7, expected things to just happen well for them without having to go take it and go earn it. Coach Bolt talks about Championship Sunday and championship mentality. That's not just to hear himself talk. The team last year really bought into that, and the team this year, I think, to a certain degree, just expected good things to happen because they were Nebraska. And to some of these younger players that haven't experienced a lot of college baseball, they learn the hard way that you better go earn it because nothing's going to be given to you.
exit meetings going on today, tomorrow, I think maybe even Wednesday. Then some of these guys will head right off to go to a summer league and play. Some to the Northwoods Leagues. Max is going to the Cape Cod League. Some will go down to the Kansas to the Jayhawk League. Who are you most interested in? Maybe it's a couple of guys that need to have good summers to maybe solidify that they belong here at Nebraska and playing in the Big Ten.
It's got to be the freshmen. I mean, those are the obvious one that sticks out. I mean, the first guy that sticks out in my mind was a guy that we thought all year just needed at-bats. He's a guy that needs to see what college pitching is all about, and that's Core Jackson. And you started to see him turn a little bit. It's unfortunate the way his season ended with injuring the knee and then getting plunked on the kneecap and the elbow injury. I mean, he's had some weird things that kind of slowed him down this year. He needs to go get 200 at-bats this summer. He needs to just go there and play and hit and use a wood bat and play different positions on the field and just go get a ton of ABs. You think about guys like Josh Caron, another guy who just didn't get a ton of at-bats, and we thought was close at times of turning it. There were games where he turned in the best at-bats as anybody, but the power was late to come. There were just other missing variables with Josh that we didn't quite see take the next step. And then there's two guys on the mound that just need work. Jackson Brockett, to me, has a chance to really grab a hold of a role. He's got the mentality. He's got the makeup. He's kind of got the quirky left-handedness to him. And he's kind of got that don't mess with me attitude that you need to have as a pitcher. He's, to me, is a wild card going into next year. And then the other one's the name that everybody wants to talk about, and that's Drew Christo. Drew he couldn't put it together this year, whether it be in the scrimmages and the practices. The coaches never felt confident in putting him in the game because he wasn't executing at the level needed for them to feel comfortable putting him in the game. And that showed when he was out there. He just wasn't ready. And that's okay. You don't identify a guy's career after 1 year, especially as a freshman, but you better start showing signs at least, in the summer and the fall that says, okay, I had my hardcore learning experience as a freshman. I know what to expect. And you come back hungry as a sophomore. Sometimes it takes a little bit. But he's a guy that needs to go pitch. He needs to get hit around. But more importantly, he needs to have some success at this level to prove to himself that he belongs.
The guys that were out, Buns, Perry, Bradford, are you optimistic, pessimistic? Don't have any idea on those three guys as far as pitching next spring.
I mean, my order of optimism is Perry number one, just because there's nothing that's going to hold that kid back. I mean, as long as he has a day of eligibility left to play for the Huskers, he's going to give it everything he has. My second place out of those three would probably be Bradford, and my third would be Buns. Jake just had so many setbacks this year trying to come back. At first, we heard it was over, his season's done, torn UCL, second Tommy John surgery in 3 years, and then it's not torn. He can come back. He's on a throwing program, so he ramped up a little bit, pitched. Nope, got to shut him down again. You took 2 or 3 weeks off. Then he gave it a third go. And then it's all of a sudden, nope, pull the plug, he's done. I just don't know how much left is in that arm. You just, at what point is it worth it anymore for Jake? You just keep saying setback after setback after setback. And the way that Jake throws, kind of launching himself off that rubber, it's more torque on that elbow than somebody who, more traditional style. And so if it happens once, it's more likely to happen again. I'm nervous about it. I know Jake's not going to give up. He's the type of kid to not give up, but you just got to wonder how much gas is left in the tank.
Yeah, I can't get that image of him walking off the mound. Clear back, night one, Sam Houston, and then the Perry one here at Haymarket Park, where your heart's breaking for him. And we really didn't know the Bradford injury had happened. It was just all of a sudden after an appearance, he's like, I feel terrible. My arm just feels awful and can't go through with it. So lots of things are going to happen. I think this week will be interesting. And with social media, my guess is we'll see some of these guys say one way or the other, whether they're in or out.
You and I can probably forecast and maybe hit on 80%, 90%, right. But there will be one or two that surprise even you and I. And we know these kids, we know their families, we know their business, where they're from. There's always one or two that jump out and surprise you of wild cards. That's okay. It happens. The program's going to move on. But this is going to be the craziest offseason of Husker baseball in my 10 years covering the team. The fall's going to be even more interesting. You better bring a roster because half the team's going to look different with the roster expansion. I have no idea what this team's going to look like in the fall, and I think if you were to ask the coaches, they'd probably tell you the same. I don't know that they know what to expect in the fall, but you can be sure that they're sticking their noses in it and getting to work.
Greg Beals out at Ohio State. Surprised?
A little bit. You know, he's a guy that hasn't had great success. You know, Ohio State doesn't take losing very well in any sport. No. And they got hot and won the conference tournament in 19. They were the 4th seed and got drilled by that Vanderbilt team in their regional. But it's a team that hasn't done a ton of winning and are typically kind of right there on the cusp of making Omaha, making the Big Ten tournament. And that's a good enough place with a good enough resources to where they can bring in somebody good, like a Jeff Mercer at Indiana, who's done a pretty good job. There's going to be no shortage of candidates at taking that job in Columbus.
Yeah, they broke the Huskers' hearts at the tournament in 19 up in Omaha. Watch it all. I'm gonna have a hard time watching, I think.
I mean, I feel like inevitably I'll have it on, but my watching interest when I do have it on is going to be about 4% of what it should be and what it ought to be. It's going to be tough to stomach, that's for sure.
All right, great work this season. Have a good summer.
Yeah, you do the same.
There he is, Ben McLaughlin, with us here on Sports Sunday. Buckle up, put that phone down. A reminder from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. More of the show coming up next.
Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer opens like every other seltzer, pours like every other seltzer, but it's not like every other seltzer. USDA certified organic, no added sugar, and low cal, so you've never seen another seltzer quite like it. And with new refreshing flavors like black cherry and watermelon strawberry, you've never tasted one like it either. Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, as real as it tastes. Enjoy responsibly, not a low-calorie food. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, IRC Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Touchdown, Nebraska!
If you're doing business in Nebraska, the best way to connect your organization with the excitement surrounding the Huskers is through a partnership with Nebraska Athletics. You can take your business to the next level by reaching loyal Husker fans through in-venue signage, digital and social media, radio advertising, and more.
Got it!
Join the Husker team today and email partners@huskers.com to learn more about opportunities to connect with Husker Nation. That's partners@huskers.com.
Hey folks, this is Famous Dave. You know the difference between an ordinary get-together and a famous one? At most parties, the food's pretty forgettable. But imagine your table loaded with award-winning barbecue, chopped pork sandwiches, roasted chicken, and mouth-watering juicy ribs. From birthdays to corporate events, any size groups, we'll customize our menu to fit your budget. Make your next get-together fun and famous with catering from Famous Dave's. Visit famousdaves.com.
The Nebraska FFA is growing leaders
and building communities.
Together, we are strengthening agriculture.
The Nebraska FFA Foundation believes in our future leaders and the communities they serve. We believe in the future of agriculture.
Join us in the I Believe in the Future of Ag campaign. Learn more at neffafoundation.org. Brought to you by Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be, member FDIC. And Farmers Cooperative, standing with those who grow.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Welcome to Ag Answers. Today we're talking about renewable biofuels like corn ethanol and soy biodiesel. Electric vehicles continue to make headlines as we look for ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But did you know by using ethanol, you can reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 46% compared to traditional gasoline and by up to 86% when you use biodiesel compared to petroleum diesel? Locally produced biofuels are the here and now solution to combating climate change. They are good for our air, good for our wallets, and good for Nebraska. This message is brought to you by Nebraska's corn and soybean farmers.
Celebrating 50 years in the commercial real estate development industry in Omaha and nationwide, Noddle Companies is proud to continue its tradition of supporting Husker athletics. Check out what's new in Omaha, which includes revolving recreation and the food hall at Zone 6 in Exarban Village. Another exciting project coming soon are the Blackstone Urban Row townhomes. Noddle Companies, creating long-term value through community development. For more information, visit noddlecompanies.com. Go Big Red.
Okay, let's get a photo of the bride and groom standing next to that giant mud puddle. Good. Now smile.
Oh, honey, don't look now, but you're covered in mud.
Oh, so is your white tux.
You know what this means, don't you?
Trucks and Bucks from the Nebraska Lottery is back.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is the happiest day of my life. Don't you think we should head to the nearest Nebraska Lottery retailer?
I do.
Trucks and Bucks is back, and you could win one of 8 new trucks. Top prize odds 1 in 336,000.
Husker fans. Get ready to be part of the excitement of the 2022-23 Nebraska women's basketball season by joining the season ticket waitlist today. The Huskers return all 5 starters from a team that won 24 games and advanced to the 2022 NCAA tournament. Make the first choice on the best seats to watch the Huskers in person at Pinnacle Bank Arena this year. Join the waitlist by July 31st at huskers.com/request list.
So, this date was really fun.
Yeah, thanks for dinner.
For sure. For sure. Not really sure why I'm playing with my keys. I literally took an Uber here.
Oh, me too. Can I
Wanna
ride
grab
you
a beer?
around?
Start the night out right, because you can't drive drunk if you don't drive there. Decide to ride. This message is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and Uber. Copyright 2022, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
They say if you listen hard enough, you can hear the corn grow. It's true. When you're out in the field, you understand its challenges and what it needs to thrive. Channel Seedsmen bring insights from the field to our team of Bayer plant breeders. Their knowledge inspires our product development. From your best ground to your most challenging conditions, our products are designed to perform in your fields. Visit channellistens.com to see our latest innovations. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Back at our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, it is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. Greg Sharp, Jessica Cootie with you here on a Monday night, 402-413-2400, the number to dot us up with a comment or question. If you want to fire off a text, we are here and ready for you. I saw you high-fiving the air when Trev Alberts made the comment about it's so much easier to park this time of year.
Yeah. I was like, oh, wait, what was I celebrating? Yes, it is. It is so much easier. I love this time of the year.
See, now Andrew's missing, he likes to go for late night walks down around the Haymarket. He's missing all the people to high five down there late at night. So
yeah, no, I love the parking, the open parking.
It does loosen up. Husker football, a good chunk of the team that was here for spring ball started summer conditioning today. So a lot of them are already back. My guess is volleyball probably comes back soon. I know the basketball teams both come back the first Monday of June. So, like we've talked a lot of, these athletes don't get a lot of downtime.
No, especially the basketballs and the football. They're here pretty much year-round now. And Jeremiah was on the last podcast and talked about how this is a time where you get a little vacation, you go home, and then once you get back after that, you get a couple. I know you get a little bit of time, maybe like what?
In July.
Like a week, maybe, if that you get before you get ready to go for training camp. But this is the time that you actually get a little bit of breathing time. You get a couple weeks, and then once you come back, it is go time. Because even when you think about it, even that time that you get off from July to August, that's the season is basically here. So now is the time you get recuperated, and once you get back here, because the summer workouts are hugely important.
They're big time important, and that's when you kind of make or break your conditioning for the whole season.
I forgot, did you ask Coach Frost about being able to work with the guys a little bit?
Yeah, they're liking that.
So now that they can actually have a little bit of contact with players too, those summer workouts become even more important.
Sure does. 96 days till kickoff. How about that? Be here before you know it. Let's go to West Point. Husker Dan, you're up next on Sports Alley. Good evening.
Hi, Greg and Jessica. How are you tonight?
Hello. Good. How are you doing?
Great. Good. Hey, first and foremost, kudos to the softball team and baseball team for an awesome season. I know a lot of fans made games and went down to games to cheer them on, and I know the outcome didn't work out as much as we wanted to, but, hey, that's sports.
You bet.
Okay, here we go now. Greg, I listened to the game, and the Purdue thing, wow. I'm with you guys, the way you guys were saying that game should have been played. Okay, this is what my opinion is. I honestly feel it should be a forfeit. Maryland, in my mind, or my understanding, they wanted to play a doubleheader the day before, and they didn't do it.
That is correct. Maryland did offer to play 2 on Friday. That is correct.
Yep. And I think, gosh,
You know, and this is Dan, and you might have heard me say this. We played Michigan State this weekend. They had a series back in March at home with Illinois, and they played a doubleheader on Friday, and then East Lansing got snow Friday night and Saturday. They got on a bus, went 4.5 hours to Champaign to finish the series on Sunday. Good for them. Way to go everywhere you can to get the games in. You play 24 league games. You should try to do everything you can to get those 24 games in. Obviously, Purdue and Maryland didn't want to. It didn't benefit either one of them to play it. In fact, it would hurt either one of them if they lose it. And they knew that, and that's the direction they opted to go.
So is there anybody in the league or conference, any high-up people that overlook this that say this is wrong?
No. Short answer is no. It's up to the institutions to get it done.
Oh, my goodness. This is highway robbery.
Well, and as Trev said...
Go ahead.
As Trev said, and Will Bolt said too, we got to be better. Don't put yourself in a position that somebody else can affect whether you get in or not.
And I was just going to say that. We shouldn't be putting ourselves in this position. Right. But we are.
But I also will say this, too. Nebraska needed to win Friday and Saturday, and they did. So they did go out and win the 2 games that they had to win when they were facing elimination.
Yep, you're right.
Hi, Dan.
Wow. Gosh. Hey, on the other thing of that, before I'll let you go, you do a great job of calling the games, and I want you to know that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the call. I think both things are right there. Absolutely, Nebraska needs to win more games, but then there's an integrity part of it. Play the games you're supposed to play.
And I don't know how you can, because there's going to be weather, like we've talked about, in every single spring sport that's played outside. A lot of times, even fall sports that are played outside. For soccer or whatever, if there's lightning, you're going to figure out a way to play. But, with the 3-game series and the having to travel and so much travel, I mean, what could be done there? Because there are times that absolutely that game could not have been played. That's what I'm saying is, like, there are times that there is lightning and there is rain and there is elements in the weather that game couldn't have been played. So what do you do there? I mean, because it's like,
well, you knew that you had rain in the forecast Saturday. You play doubleheader Thursday.
Exactly.
And Friday.
Yes. Or you play when it was earlier in the day when it wasn't raining.
Move it
but
up.
I'm just saying, as a conference, like, how do you punish somebody for that?
You can't.
Because it's just with the weather, it's unpredictable,
right.
And so, then with the travel restrictions and having the curfew and all of that, there's just, short of having a rule that I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you can put a rule in place that, hey, you got to figure out a way to play.
You can't.
Because there's certain things in place that you can't force that. You can't force a hand there.
Dan, appreciate the call. He dialed us up on our Sports Nightly hotline, which is brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto Family. Shop Woodhouse first. 18 brands, 16 convenient locations, simplified car buying to save you time. Shop, finance, and buy online at woodhouse.com. I think, final thought on this, I think when it's not raining, why were you not playing? That's what Husker fans are like, but it wasn't raining, but you didn't play.
I agree. I was mad, too. I was up there in the softball press box watching along, like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
and people were asking me.
It's not raining. Yeah.
I don't understand. Why aren't you playing? It's not raining. You got the tarp out like you were hoping it was going to rain, but it wasn't raining. Why aren't you playing?
Right.
But, it also stinks, too, I would imagine, for those maybe Purdue seniors that thought they were going to have senior day that day.
Well, they did. They did the ceremony.
Oh, okay. So
they
got
had the ceremony while the tarp was down behind them. They came out and held their little jerseys up, and they did all that. They took care of that.
Well,
We need to work our last break in. We're back to wrap it up. Hey, we're going to do some weekend winners. We haven't done that in a while. We'll do that tonight.
A tradition of winning doesn't happen overnight. Like any team, you got to be tough, play smart, and work hard. No one understands this more than Ford Motor Company. They built the best team in the game with Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks 45 years straight. The iconic Ford Bronco and the most powerful Ford Explorer ever. Shop online at buyfordnow.com or visit your local Ford dealer to buy or custom build the perfect truck or SUV for you. Based on 1977 to 2021 calendar year total sales.
Hi, I'm Nebraska Pick 3.
I'm My Day.
I'm 2x2. We're 3 great lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery.
And this is our first radio spot ever.
But we've only got 30 seconds.
So we gotta talk fast.
With Nebraska Pick 3, you get to choose your own bet type.
With My Day, you choose a 6-digit date.
And 2x2 has a $22,000 top prize.
And we're all just $1 per play with drawings every day.
That was easy.
And we did great.
With 8 seconds to spare. We should be doing all the lottery's ads.
Sorry, that gig is already taken. Must be 19, please play responsibly.
This year, we considered hiring an ad agency to help us with our marketing.
They pitched impressive visuals and a script that was inspiring.
And exotic animal mascots to help grab your attention.
In the end, we just decided to tell it to you straight. J.D. Power ranked Shelter Insurance #1 in customer satisfaction among auto insurers in the Central Region and #1 in price.
See agents Natalie Vampola or Michael Reeves in Omaha, or in Plattsmouth, see agent Julie Null.
You already got the hat, the jersey, maybe even the occasional red and white face paint. So kick things off right this season and add the FNBO Husker Visa debit card to the list. Pay loud and proud for every Husker decal, t-shirt, or hot dog at the game. Wear your heart on your sleeve and in your wallet with the Husker Visa debit card. Free with any checking account from FNBO, the bank of Husker Nation. Get yours today at fnbo.com/Huskers. Member FDIC.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Hey folks, this is Famous Dave. You know the difference between an ordinary get-together and a famous one? At most parties, the food's pretty forgettable. But imagine your table loaded with award-winning barbecue, chopped pork sandwiches, roasted chicken, and mouth-watering juicy ribs. From birthdays to corporate events, any size groups, we'll customize our menu to fit your budget. Make your next get-together fun and famous with catering from Famous Dave's. Visit famousdaves.com.
Whether you compete on the court, at the track, on the field, or in the fields, winning isn't just a goal. It's a mindset, shaped, honed, and defined throughout the season. That's why farmers pushing themselves to be the best plant DeKalb brand corn. Wherever you compete, winning has roots. Perform at your best with DeKalb. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, it is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres solutions for every field. Greg Sharp, Jessica Cootie with you. Is it 14-1 Boston on Miami? Is that score? Yeah. Holy cow.
That's a...
He'd have scored 1 point in like 6 minutes.
That's a random basketball score.
What in the world?
16-1 now.
16-1. How about that? I kind of feel like the NBA playoffs have been a little disappointing. A lot of blowout games.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of series, there were some good games, and then you expected this one. I really thought the Dallas Golden State series would be a lot better, but it just has not been good. And so, yeah, hopefully the finals is a little bit better than the conference finals.
Sam in Omaha says, have you guys been watching the playoffs, and do you have a pick for the finals? Well, I think it's pretty... Golden State's definitely going to be there, right?
Golden State and maybe this Boston-Miami, but I think it would be a good series up between Golden State and the whoever
They've rolled
wins.
through people. Golden State's rolled through people.
I think both. Yeah, they get figured it out at the end. That guard trio with Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson and Steph, that's just hard to match up with.
Andrew Wiggins posterized a guy last night with a dunk. It was crazy stuff. Mark on our text line said, Husker fans, let's go down to the Chuck this week and root against those two teams, especially Purdue. There you go. Go out there. Because a lot of people bought all-session tickets thinking that Nebraska was going to be there, so people bought tickets. So.
And it still will be a cool atmosphere and,
yep.
Help that downtown Omaha. Let's give them some business. Yep. And there still hopefully will be some good baseball. And, yeah, just pick a team to root against far as instead of to root for.
Go boo.
Go root against somebody.
Yeah, go boo. We haven't had a Monday open hour at the end to name some weekend winners. Do you have anybody in mind?
Well, I have a couple. I do love the fact that ESPN put all of their softball games, all of them, on their platforms. But give it up to Max Anderson, the way he closed out the season. Couple of home runs, 4 for 5.
Yeah.
What a way to close the season. And when you don't know what's going to happen the rest of the way, I like like the exclamation point he put on that.
And as we said earlier in the hour, he's headed to the Cape, which is the premier college league for the summer, to go play and get some ABs. I'm going Justin Thomas. Came from 7 back to win the PGA down at Southern Hills in Tulsa. He was great yesterday.
It was chilly in Oklahoma.
How about they were all wearing like pullovers and stuff.
It's like normally like
Quarter
so
zips.
hot and miserable in Oklahoma, and everybody, like even at the softball game, I had to borrow a jacket.
Really?
Because I didn't take a jacket down there.
Well, good for Justin Thomas, his
Yes.
second major. That one.
I like Justin Thomas too.
I do too. Good guy.
Is he on your fantasy team?
No, he's not. Alabama fan though. Not sure I like that.
Yeah.
Our Sports Nightly Hotline brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto Family. Have a great night. We're back with you again tomorrow.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
There is no place like Nebraska, and there's no place that treats you like home like Sapp Brothers. For 50 years, Sapp Brothers has fueled America's heartland and been a reliable partner to local farms and Husker fans across Nebraska, providing the highest quality fuel, lubricants, and propane, servicing your farming equipment and welcoming guests into their travel centers. Visit www.sappbros.net. Sapp Brothers is proud to be an official partner of Husker Athletics.
Fuel your curiosities and inspire your lifeblood with the first ever Mazda CX-50. Available now at both Woodhouse Mazda locations. The remarkably intuitive standard all-wheel drive Mazda CX-50 is responsive, making the driver's connection to the road natural across a wide variety of driving scenarios. An interior where form and function meet, making the cabin luxurious and durable. See the first ever CX-50 online at WoodhouseMazda.com or in the showroom in Bellevue or at Woodhouse Place off 144th and Giles Road.
If there's one thing that you can count on every spring, it's that we're going to have to deal with some hail. J-Tech Construction is the company to call to make it right again. J-Tech Construction specializes in siding, roofing, windows, and gutters, even solar. They're trained for insurance claims assistance, and they can help with your insurance company. Turn to the team the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Use your favorite search engine to find J-Tech Construction online and schedule a free estimate today.
As the Huskers head to halftime, Frank is off the couch and headed for the fridge. Ooh, but he can't make it because he's so hot. The air conditioning is out again. But wait, he sees an opening. SOS! SOS, he screams and calls 391-2336. SOS Heating and Cooling, his favorite Luxair dealer. Boy, he made the right call today as SOS is already on the way. SOS is your trustworthy company since 1950, and with Luxair, you get free 10-year labor warranty with the new system. Call 391-233